Om Sruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram. So, we have studied till the 250th verse of the Vivekachudamani before the Christmas break, and now we are going to start from the 251st verse of the Vivekachudamani. So here we will find the great dictum, Thou art that, Tat Tvam Asi, Tat Tvam Asi. This is one of the Mahavakyas, the great dictum, which speaks of the ultimate declaration of the Vedanta, which speaks of the unity of the individual soul with the Paramatman, with Brahman. So this Tattvamasi has been declared, has been stated 9 times in Chandogya Upanishad. It's a very significant dictum. And this dictum, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya takes up from the 251st to the 53rd verse as an explanation of the dictum. He will be describing in these 3 verses the explanation, the meaning of the dictum, Thou art that, Tat Tvamasi. So let's start with the 251st verse. So what it is saying, Mrit Karyan Sakalang Ghatadi Satatan Mrin Matram Eva Ahitam Tatvat Sat Janitam Sat Atmakam Ida San Matram Eva Akhilam Yasmat Na Asti Satah Parang Kim Api Tat Satyang Sa Atma Swayang Tasmat Tattvamasi Prashantam Amalam Brahmadvayam Yat Param. So this is very powerful cleansing mantra. It cleanses when the moment you think that you are the Atman, you are the Paramatman, you are not the body, not the mind, not the soul, not the senses, not the feelings, not the emotions. That has a wonderful cleansing effect. With the sense of that detachment, you find your body, your mind immediately gets purified with this thought, Tattvamasi. So if we can repeat this, reflect on this mantra with the proper attitude, then instead many say that when I say Tattvamasi, it results in ego. You are saying you are one with God, you are one with the ultimate reality, it creates ego. Yes, if we don't understand its proper significance, if we identify the Paramatman with this limited body and think I am Brahman, it speaks of ego. But if we really understand the true significance, it has just the opposite effect. It attenuates the ego. It cleanses the ego. It purifies the soul. And even for a bhakta, even for a devotee, it can be a preliminary practice that before sitting for meditation, first he thinks that he is the Atman, he is one with the absolute reality. And then he can go for his devotional practices. You will find even when we are doing our ritualistic worship, if the steps which we follow, many of us don't know. Actually, that's what they do. Even the one who is a practitioner of dualistic religion, you will find first through all those shodhanam, that I cleanse my body and I install the divinity within. That's called Devang Bhutva Devang Yajet. First you yourself become the divine, and then only you can worship the divine. As in the Bible, very nicely it has been said, worship the Spirit by the Spirit. Otherwise, devotion becomes something like going to a Siddha Purusha. You will find that most of us equate the spirituality with just getting some worldly favors. As Swami Vivekananda used to say, that for most of us, religion is a sort of materialism, where God is the means, world is the end. I want good job, I want a life freed from all diseases, good health, good relations, all these worldly gains I want. For that I pray to God. It's not bad. It's good because still it speaks of having faith in the divine. That instead of approaching as a worldly person, I have faith in the divine, that God is, that astikya buddhi has come. But still that is not the highest devotion. Even as in the Bhagavad Gita it has been spoken of, that there are 4 types of devotees. Artha, Jigyashu, Artharthi, and last is Jnani. So this Artha, Jigyashu, Artharthi, they are like the one, as Swamiji has spoken of, as having that materialistic goal as the highest aim in their life. Where God is the means. They don't want God. They have a faith in God, that He is there as the ultimate, the source of the entire existence. The creator, the preserver, the destroyer, He is there, and He is there to provide me all the means by which I can get the worldly gains. So God is not the ultimate goal, world is the goal. So beyond that, the Jnani, who is the Jnani? The one who knows about that eternal relationship of the divine, of the divine essence. A devotee may think that the divine essence is in communion with the Paramatman, but the idea is the obliteration of the limitation of this individuality. So that's why we will find this, as we said, that this dictums, whether it's a devotee or it's a jnani, if we take it in a proper perspective, it has a very cleansing effect in our soul. It immediately purifies the mind. The moment you think, I am divine, I am not the body, not the mind, not the senses, I am the spirit, immediately it cleanses. It takes us beyond all these demarcations of gender, that here we find all our impurities from where it comes. Because of this sense of demarcation of gender, that I am a male, the other is a female. I belong to a higher caste, others belong to a lower caste. I am a person of great dignity, others are just ordinary beings. With all these demarcations, from what comes, all the evils come in the society. All these polarities results in evil. The more you go to the center, the more I can leave out the fringes of my existence, the shore of my existence, and go into the deep essence of my being. I find it is only unity. The essence of your being, that pure consciousness, is the same as the essence of my being, the pure consciousness. If we relate to each other from that perspective, that we are the soul, everything else is a mere covering. In essence, we are the soul, which has no distinction of gender, caste, nationality. All those barriers falls off. Then all the conflicts falls off. There can be only peace and purity on this earth. So with this a small introduction, let's enter into the verse, the 251st verse. What it is saying? Mrit karyam sakalam ghatadi satatam mrin matram evam ahitam. So he's taking this, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya is taking the example of clay pots. A potter makes pots with clay. And these pots, as per the utility, as per the shape, has different names. This Nama, Rupa, Artha, Kriya, Karitva. This name is, what is the names varies because of the Rupa, of the shape, and Artha, Kriya, Karitva. What is the utility of it? With the same clay, I have made a glass, a tumbler, I have made a plate, I have made a pot. The shape is different and the utility is different. I use it for different purposes and accordingly I have given different names. But in essence, They are all nothing but the modification of the clay. So that's what Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, with that example, he's starting his verse. These all modifications of clay, such as jar, pot, etc. So which are always accepted by the mind as real, are nothing but clay. Mritkaryam sakalang ghatadi, the spot and every etc. All those are the effect, karya. This karya means the effect, karana means the cause. So the effect of clay, mritkarya, sakalang, all these are the effect of the clay, satatam. But in essence, it is mrin matram, it is clay and clay alone. Evam ahitam, tatvat, sat janitam, sat atmakam, idam san matram, eva akhilam. So similarly, this entire universe is produced, which is produced from Brahman, projected from Brahman, and Brahman itself, and nothing but that Brahman alone. Brahman is finding expression as this entire universe. Nowadays, as we are all familiar with the way the computer works, we can take this example with the help of computer too. That how this, in the screen of the computer, you see the world of virtual reality. So many things. Most probably you are watching a movie in the computer. You are using your laptops, you watch a movie, and the sin after sin, so many things are going on. But anyone who knows the way the computer works, they know what? It's nothing but 1 and 0. These two binary digits can define this entire thing which is going on in the virtual screen. Now 1 and 0, what are they? So when current is on, it speaks 1. When it is off, it is 0. So, the computer is plugged on the mains. That speaks of the bias voltage. Within the computer, in its hard disk, there are various gates, permutation and combination of it. Through this, this current is passing. Sometimes it is obscured, it is not allowed to pass, sometimes it is allowed. So this creates the binary of 1 and 0, and this creates the entire panorama of the virtual reality which you are seeing in the screen. So actually what has happened? It is the bias voltage, the same bias voltage, nothing else, which is appearing as this entire world of virtual reality in the computer screen. So in the modern day with the computer, the same example. Because when I say mrin matram, with clay, then sometimes you may say that you are saying with clay I can understand. With the clay, all the things made of clay, it's just a modification that I can understand. But you say consciousness is not matter. It is beyond the so-called any name and form. How can it become this world of name and form? So now that's why we are bringing this example of what this computer, this world of virtual reality. In the screen, do we not get absorbed totally in it, thinking it to be real? When we're watching a movie, sometimes we cry, we laugh, we get tensed, we get totally identified with it, thinking it to be so real. But how this world of virtual reality has been created? By something which has no form. That is the bias voltage. That itself is appearing as this world of name and form. Sri Ramakrishna also in the Gospel in one place gives the similar example. That he says that once he visited a place where various models were made of wax. In a glass case, an entire city was made of wax. The house, the monument, the school building, the hospital, the parliament building, everything is made of wax. Sri Ramakrishna is saying that, seeing that I felt the essence of the behind the entire existence is like that. Is a consciousness which is finding expression as the entire universe. So this Brahman alone exists. This world of name and form is a mere projection of it. So with the help of these examples, The scripture is trying to explain us that it is from that consciousness everything has been projected. So that alone is real and that alone exists. So yasmat na asti satah parang kim api tat satyam sa atma swayam. So hence, yasmat means hence, na asti satah param. There is nothing which is beyond that sat. Brahman alone is the reality, is the fundamental cause behind the entire existence. It alone is. Nothing is beyond that. Nothing is greater than that. Parang means supreme. So nothing is superior to that. So yasmat nasti satah parang kim api tat satyam sa atma swayam. So because there is nothing else whatever but Brahman. Yasmat nasti satah parang kim. And that is the only existent reality. That is the only reality which is appearing as this world of name and form. So that is the only reality, and that is nothing but ourself and self alone. So just now we gave that example of the computer. So the way our mind is working is also like that. The consciousness is just like that bias voltage. Our mind is just like the hard disk through which the consciousness, when is projected as this world of name and form. Consciousness through the mind is projected as this world of name and form, which is nothing but consciousness and consciousness alone. The consciousness is projected through the mind. The external world, what is there? There is something, but what is there we can never know. It is what at the most we can say, asti, it is. There is something existing, but I can never know what it is. Because when I try to see it, immediately the mind projects the things which I am seeing. That external thing is just a stimuli, but what I am seeing is a projection of the mind. So that's why that Atma, the self within you, that alone is the real existent which is projecting the entire universe. So that's why he says this Sa Atma Swayam, this Atman alone is the reality. Everything else is just like that virtual reality is something which is a simulation. That's why nowadays with the discovery of computer, even the scientists have started using this very funny analogy. This as we find in this world, it's full of imperfection. That even in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we will find in one place as a young boy, Naren, went to Sri Ramakrishna and he's saying a very interesting thing, that the scheme of the universe is devilish. So much of suffering, everything is there. If God has created, we could have expected a perfect world. If God is all good, why so much of suffering? So that's why he's saying, this young Naren, who is yet to go to that realization, he's saying, the scheme of the universe is devilish. I would have created a better universe. That's what he's saying. I would have created a better universe. If it was my responsibility, I would have done. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, is laughing at this young Naren's comment. That's different. So with this idea that after all, this world is a projection, is a simulation. Even in modern science, the scientists have started understanding it. And that's why there's a very funny analogy. They say, most probably this entire universe is the result of an artificial simulation in some alternate existence, where a small girl, that alternate existence is much, much advanced than our universe. In an alternate universe, a small girl, schoolgirl, has developed this world of virtual reality, and it has terribly gone wrong, and that is this universe. As you will find, even in our scriptures, that God is always either described as mad, Shiva, Kali, they're all mad, or their child, Krishna. Why? Why they are described as either mad or child? Because we can never ask a small child that what he has done, what's the reason behind it. It can do anything. He's beyond the so-called cause and effect. It is just whatever he feels, he does. It is just the expression of his life. A mad person also, we can never say that why. There is no question of justification. So behind this universe also, that we can never ask. So that's the wonderful thing in Vedanta. They say the ultimate reality transcends both good and evil. In Abrahamic religion, when you say God is all good, then the big question comes, how to define the evil? You cannot define the evil. In Vedanta, we find this wonderful idea. The God is beyond good and evil. It is just a projection of that. The good and evil, from our limited perspective, we are defining them as good and evil. Actually, good and evil doesn't exist in the external world. The so-called good and evil is nothing but the way we are reacting to the reality. The reality is just ease. How we react to that reality, that creates suffering, that creates the sense of evil and other things. So that's the other aspect. We are not going into that. But the idea is that there is something in essence which is being projected as the universe. And that's being spoken of as the Brahman and Brahman alone. So yasmat nasti satah parang kim api tat satyam sa atma swayam. You are that Atman. That alone exists. And nothing is beyond that. Nothing is superior to that. So knowing that, tasmat, therefore, tattvamasi, you are that. Prashantam, which is beyond all it is all polarity. It is tranquil, prashantam, ever peaceful. Nothing can disturb that peace, that serenity. Prashantam, amalam. It is beyond all impurities. No mala, amalam. Brahmadvayam yat param. That is advayam. That reality is this beyond the idea of duality. Advayam. One without the second. It alone exists. Why they say one without second? Because in all dualistic religion, at last they say God is one. But that doesn't in any way deny the existence. That existence is apart from God. God is one. But apart from Him, the existence is. He has created. This universe is not one with God as per the dualistic religion. So here in Advaita Vedanta, they assert that all the duality you see is actually appearance. It's not there. God alone exists. That's why they say one without second. So they stress, they give Advayam. He alone is being projected as the universe. There is nothing apart from Him. So Brahmadvayam yat param. That's the ultimate, the fundamental principle behind the entire existence. The word fundamental, what it means? Suppose this table, that where I am sitting. If someone says, what is the area, surface area of the table? I say 5 meters square. What do you mean by 5 meters square? No, okay. It is, say, 5 meter long and 1 meter it has breadth. That's why it is 5. Now, what do you mean by 5 meter length? The distance between the 2 points is 5 meters. So now, if time will come, you cannot define it anymore. You have to say, this is the fundamental principle. The distance is the fundamental. The distance between 2 points is the fundamental. You cannot further define it or deduct it. So, in Vedanta they say that to explain the entire universe, at last the fundamental principle with which the entire universe can be explained is Brahman and Brahman alone. What is beyond that? We cannot ask, because that is fundamental. From that, everything initiates. As Sri Ramakrishna in his own colloquial way, simple words, is to say that after 1, you go on adding 0, the value goes on increasing. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, it goes on increasing. Remove the 1, everything is 0. Nothing exists. So that's 1 alone is finding expression as this entire universe. Without that, nothing exists. So this is the idea we find has been, so this, as here this word Tattvamasi has been indicated, for as a reference, let us go to those verses, of few verses of those Chandogya Upanishad, where we find the indication of this this dictum Tattvamasi. So in Chandogya Upanishad we find that in the first verse of the second chapter of the sixth part of Chandogya Upanishad, what is said? Sat eva somya idam agra asit ekam eva advitiyam tadhaika ahu asat idam agra asit ekam eva advitiyam tasmat asata sanjayata. So now this somya, that the father is instructing the son, saying him somya. Somya means the good looking one. So if you take the physical beauty, it means the good looking one, but the somya means the one who has a pure mind. If you take the mind, so his personality speaks of the beauty. So the one of the pure mind, the somya. So this, before this world was manifest, there was only one existence, one without second. That's how the father is instructing in Chandogya Upanishad. So on this subject, some maintain. So here we will find that, as we find in the post-Buddhist era, I won't say Buddha himself has denied the existence of Sat, something behind the intercreation. He haven't. But in the post-Buddhist era, we will find many sects of Buddhists who say that ultimate reality is Asat. There is nothing. Anatma. There is no self. So this indication of that we find, of that school, is mentioned even in the Upanishads. They are saying that some maintain that before this world was manifest, there was only non-existence. That is Asat. From Asat everything came. From nothing everything came. So out of that non-existence, existence emerged. Tasmat asata sanjayata. After saying that, the father himself is putting a question in the next verse. What he say? Kutastu khalu somya evam syat iti hovacha kathamang asata sanjayati. Now this is one of the procedure of logic in Vedanta. What's that? That when you have to explain something in the macrocosm, in a large way, something which is extra cosmic, to explain something, we take the example of what we see in this day-to-day life. Because in Vedanta they believe microcosm and the macrocosm is built in the same plan. As in the words of Sri Ramakrishna, very nicely he says, sometimes Vedanta is very difficult to understand, but Sri Ramakrishna's simple words have explained Vedanta so well. He says very nicely, the housewife is cooking the rice in the rice pot. Now how she checks whether the rice has been cooked or not? She will just pick up one rice and press it between her fingers. If it finds it has boiled, it is soft, she is assured all the rice has boiled. So this is the wonderful example Sri Ramakrishna is giving. That what he says, to understand the plan of the entire universe, you need not have to understand that each and everything of this universe. Take any small thing. Just take a sand particle, and if you know the way the entire sand particle is working, with all the workings which are going on within that, all the phenomenon that is going on within that, if you know the plan of the entire universe. Even in science, there is a term, they call this universe is holographic. The same idea. To give an example, suppose from a distance I see a cross. And now I am curious to understand, I just become curious, but with what this cross is made. I go near, I take a magnifying glass to see that each and every dot by which this cross is made. And then I see each and every dot is a cross. With so many crosses, this bigger cross has been made. And then I become more curious. That's Each dot I try to magnify more, and I find it is again made out of innumerable dots, where each dot is also a cross. So this speaks of the holographic universe. The macrocosm and the microcosm is built in the same plan. With this idea, Vedanta go for inferential knowledge. So here that inferential knowledge we find the Father is using. They say, can you show me in the universe anything came out from nothing? Whatever is there must be something positive from which the karya, the effect has resulted. Have you found anywhere that from nothing something has come? Then how can you say that as per that the school of belief, that from nothing the entire existence came? So that is kutastu khalu somya evam syat iti hovacha kathamam asatah sanjayati sat eva somyap agra asid ekam advitiyam. So know it for certain, it is from that existence, positive existence, everything came into being. Now in this point, as the Buddhists say that from there is nothing, that the ultimate reality is anatma. Very interesting, Buddha never spoke of anatma. The second, when Buddha came out of illumination, his first lecture was on the Four Noble Truths that we all know, that there is dukkha, the cause of dukkha is tanha, our tremendous desire to hold onto the flow. Everything is flowing, we want to grasp it. We cannot, because there's something which is flowing, how can we grasp it? So that's the cause of dukkha. So he detects the disease. The disease is dukkha. What's the cause of the disease? That is tanha. Now even when we go to the doctor, what they say, after diagnosing the disease, they will just say whether it is curable or not. There may be some disease he have diagnosed, but it is not curable. Like in olden days, there was no treatment for so many diseases. There was no treatment for cancer. Even in the time of Swamiji, there was no treatment for diabetes, especially the diabetes type 1. There was no treatment. So I have diagnosed, but there is no treatment. So here also, Bhava-Vaidya, the doctor of the entire worldly suffering, Buddha, after his realization, he diagnoses the cause of our this miserable existence, the dukkha. And it is because of tanha. He diagnoses, and then in the third Arya Satya, what he says? There is a way out. It is curable. It is not that it is incurable. So now I have hope. So now I ask, please prescribe. Please prescribe. So in the fourth Noble Truth, he gives the prescription. That is the eightfold paths. It is right speech, right conduct, right meditation. It ends with right samadhi. All those things. So when with all this you go to it, the realization. What's the realization? That he speaks of in the second discourse, his famous second discourse. And that discourse is called the discourse on anatma, no self. And here is a big confusion, a very interesting thing. Now Buddha speaks that everything is a flow. Even if you look at your body, the body is constantly changing. As a small boy, as an adult person, our cells, everything is dying, new cells are growing, the body is constantly changing. Our thought process is changing. When I was a child, I thought if I get sufficient toys and chocolate, that's the goal of my life. Do I think that way? No. So these are all flow. The body, the mental formations, the feelings, and our conscious decisions, the intellectual understanding, all these are flow. They are constantly changing. So that's why he's saying there is no self in the body. There is no self in the mental formations. There is no self in the intellectual understanding. There is no self in the feelings. Very interesting. He has not said there is no self. This there is no self is a phrase. After that he has said, in this there is no self. But you can never show that anywhere Buddha just said there is no self. Later on, that phrase became a sentence. it reminds me of Sri Ramakrishna's that wonderful, funny allegory. You know that sometimes we get biased by our opinion, and just instead of trying to understand the truth in entirety, we just choose out a part of the reality and try to make it the whole of the existence, and then our understanding is incomplete and we can never live the life just as per the so-called all-inclusive ideal. And what's the story, the funny story of Sri Ramakrishna, that allegory? Is the allegory of the two weavers. The two weavers were there, and they haven't met for a long time. So after suddenly one day, one weaver, one of the weavers come to meet the other weaver. So when the guest comes and knocks the door of the host is very happy. Oh, after such a long time, I've seen you. He was so elated. He invites him inside the house and then says, you just please wait, let me get some refreshments for you. And this host goes inside, the host weaver goes inside to bring some refreshment. And the guest, she's also a weaver, and the host was also a weaver. So the host actually was weaving some yarn with so many fabrics, ball of fabrics. It was all there, just lying on the ground. The moment the host went inside to arrange for some refreshments, the guest got lured by a particular ball of fabric. It has a wonderful color. He got so lured that she got so lured, she picked it up and now had to hide. She put it under her armpit to hide it, and she was sitting quietly. Now when the host came with the refreshment and the guest was having the refreshment, the host understood, so realized that one of my very expensive, this fabric ball is missing. And then she was a bit puzzled, where it has gone. It was just here. And then looking at the guest, the way she was sitting, she realized, oh, she has actually hidden it under her armpit. She could realize that. But how to get it back? She cannot just say that, oh, you are having that this ball of fabric, give it to me. It will be too harsh. But she wanted it back. So she devised a plan. After the refreshment was over, the host said, after such a long time we are meeting, I am so elated. Why not? We just dance together. Let us enjoy this moment. Now the guest was really in trouble. She said, oh, no, why again this dancing and all? But the host went on insisting. So at last, the guest had to yield. Now both started dancing, and the host was dancing with both hands upraised freely, and the guest was dancing one arm pressed, only another arm upraised. And when the host asked, is this the way to dance? How are you dancing? In a queer fashion. And the guest replied, this in Bengali, Je Jamon Jane Beyan. That's my limitation. I cannot dance like you. That's the way I can dance. So where the Sri Ramakrishna, this story is a wonderful, a significant story. He says that when we get obsessed by our limited ideas and just try to pick up some ideas from the scripture, leaving out aside all others, then we cannot dance properly. We have to dance with that one armpit, with one arm raised and the other armpit pressed against your shoulders. You cannot dance properly. So that's the idea that sometimes we find that if you are not relating to the scriptures properly, you cannot have proper understanding. So here also the same thing we find. That father is saying to the son, can you show me anywhere that from nothing something has happened? It can never be. So there must be something from which this has come, and that is your entire existence. And then, very nice, these slokas we won't read. In Chandogya Upanishad, this Upanishads, in a very simple word, speaks of a profound truth. He asks the son to bring the seed of this banyan tree, small seed, and asks the son, break the seed. The son breaks the seed. And the father asks, what do you see there? The son says, nothing. Yes, that nothingness which you feel as nothing, from that the entire banyan tree has came. So it is not that nothing, it is the substance, the essence, that's the seed of the entire existence is there. The Nyagrodha seed, they call it. So these wonderful examples are there in the Chandogya Upanishad, that we are referring to that because Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya here is using the Tattvamasi from that same Chandogya Upanishad to explain this idea that Tattvamasi, that ultimate reality is the Brahman and Brahman alone, from which the entire existence has been projected, and we are also that. It's not a question of that the Lord is I am. We are just one with it. When the ultimate realization happens, as in the word of Sri Ramakrishna, we like that salt doll. A salt doll has its own boundaries, demarcation, shape, that gives it its nomenclature, that it is a salt doll. The moment it gets down in the ocean, it loses its shape. It just merges with the ocean. It becomes one with that. So you are that. This individuality is just because of ignorance. So that's the thing which has been spoken of in this verse. This Tattvamasi. As we told, this Tat and Tvam Shodhana. If this is wonderful terms, Tat and Tvam, that if you remove all the attributes of Tat, Tat means God, that God is the creator, the preserver, the ultimate destroyer. It is He who is sustaining the entire universe. So He is the Lord, He is Mayadhish. You remove all those attributes. Tvam, I am a limited being. I have birth, I have death. I am being bound. I am bound by the laws of cause and effect. For noble deeds, I accrue good results. For all my evil deeds, I accrue bad results. So I am bound, limited being. So remove all those attributes or your limitations. What exists? This is Tattvam Shodhanam. So you Shodhana, you cleanse all the attribute. What in essence remains is the self and self alone. When the self is projected as the universe, it is in one form projected as the God, who is Mayadhish, with all his glorious attributes, and in another aspect, he is Mayadhin, he is the Jiva. Remove all those attributes, both are the self and the self alone. So that's even in the Upanishads, this idea of the unification of both in so many ways, in all the Mahavakyas speak of that. So now let us go to the next verse, the 252nd verse. So now from another perspective, Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, that perspective also is in the Upanishads, in the Mandukya Upanishad, by examining the three states of our existence. That as a limited being, we experience three states. What are the three states? Waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. So by examining these three states, you can be established in something which is beyond these three. Turiya. That beyond these three means these three states are pervaded by that, and that alone. It is not something that these three states are apart from that. Even when these three states are not there, what remains is that Turiya, the consciousness and consciousness alone, and that alone is the reality. Everything else is a mere appearance. So that's the idea from the Mandukya Upanishad. We find it there vividly explained. So Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya is taking the explanation from that perspective to explain that you are that Tattvamasi. So what it is saying? Nidra kalpita desha kala vishaya gyatradi sarvam yatha mithya tatvat iha api jagrati jagat swa agyana karyatvataha yasmat evam idam sharira karana prana ahamadi api asat tasmat tattvamasi prashantam amalam brahmadvayam yat param. The last line is the same. The first is the reasoning, and the conclusion, the last line, is the same, that you are that Advaya Amala. This is this Amala, that you are beyond all impurities. That also in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, in his own that simple way. So this is his way of saying the profound truth in simple words. There also how nicely he says that nothing can tarnish the ultimate existence, Amala. What he's saying? The same sunlight, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, this example is there. The same sunlight in which a person is counterfeiting the currency notes, and some other person is reading the Bhagavatam, the Holy Scripture. Does the sun in any way get affected by the holy deed of the one who is reading Bhagavatam? No. Does it get tarnished by the evil acts of the one who is counterfeiting the currency notes? No. It is beyond the so-called standards of good and evil. And that's the real meaning of Amala. He is beyond both good and evil. Nothing can touch him. He is Amala. So that's the idea you'll find repeated in the last sentence of these three verses. So now, what's the idea? Nidra kalpita. So when we wake up, we realize that the dream state was kalpita. Everything was a mental formation. It was just as if like an imagination. It was kalpita. But the question is, when I was dreaming, do I ever thought it is an imagination? No. It was real. Only when I wake up, then I understand that yes, it was all kalpana. It was all imagination going on in the mind. So nidra kalpita, desha kala vishaya gyatradi sarvam yatha. So the place, time, objects, knower. This knower is also, this word knower is very important. Why? Knower means in dream, I see so many things. And along with so many things, so many persons, I see myself too. Very interesting. In the dream, I am seeing me interacting with others. I am seeing me as a person in my dream. I am witnessing that. Only when I wake up, then I understand that all the things, all the objects, as well as the subject, the knower, the one who was interacting with all, that the one whom I was seeing as me, that also is unreal. Everything is unreal when I wake up. So that's why this word, this kyatra means the knower, is very important here. That it is not that the world is just illusionary, but I as a person am real. No, that also is unreal. When I wake up, then I know that in the dream, all the objects as well as the subject, the one whom I was thinking as myself with a particular body, when I wake up, I say, oh, it is all imagination. So there's kalpita. So that's what as the place, time, objects, knower, etc. in the dream are all unreal. Mithya tatvat iha api jagrati jagatsva ajnana kari. So know for certain that this world experienced here in the waking state is just an effect of ignorance. So how to understand that? So here, that's why there's a need of the scripture. It is not something which is experienced by the sensate, this world experiences. It is something which we have to go beyond this sensate experience through our spiritual endeavor. And from that realization, just the way when I wake up, I find that the dream world is unreal, it is imagination. A man going to the samadhi similarly finds a long dream was going on. All these, the states which I experience in I think as real as this world of sensate reality, they're all just like the dream image. It's a long dream. This birth, death, transmigration, Everything going to heaven, going to hell, everything was dream. Dream and dream alone. So the so-called dream is dreaming within the dream. But it's all dream. The Jagrata Avastha is also in the same way is dream. So what's the general logic is used? That what is truth? The truth something which cannot be contradicted, which always is. It cannot be contradicted. Now just see, when I am dreaming, at that time what I am seeing appears to be truth, but it gets contradicted when I wake up. Oh, it's not true. So it is not Trikal Avadhita Satya, that anything which is truth must be true in all phases of time, past, present, future. It is. But my dream world gets interrupted when I wake up. Then is this waking state true? No. When I am dreaming, this so-called this world doesn't exist for me at all. The world which I think, as Sri Ramakrishna gives a very nice example, a powerful zamindar, landlord. Everyone is afraid of him. When he is sleeping, if someone comes and spits on him, he is a helpless creature. Nothing can do. He can do nothing. The moment he has gone from the waking state to the dream state or in the deep sleep state, this world has obliterated for him. Anyone comes and spits on him, he has no power. The one of whom everyone is afraid, when he is sleeping, this world has obliterated for him. He cannot even react. So this world is contradicted. So this also is not a Trikal Avadhita Satya. So as per the experience is concerned, nothing can be true, because the experience of the dream state is contradicted by the experience of the waking state. The experience of the deep sleep state, where I experience nothing, that is contradicted by my dream state as well as the waking state. So we find in all the three states the experience are contradicted. But does anyone doubt that the one who was dreaming, who was experiencing the dream, is a different person than the one who is experiencing when he is awake? Or when I wake up and I say, oh, I had a very nice deep sleep, is that one who had very nice deep sleep, that experiencer, is different from the one who is experiencing the waking state? No. So the experiencer, that's I, that one who is witnessing the dream, one who is witnessing the waking state, one who is witnessing the deep sleep state, that witness is never, its existence is never contradicted. Experiences are contradicted. So that's the way Vedanta says they are all false. Because truth, the definition of truth is that which is Trikal Avadhita, whose existence is never obliterated by any phase of time, past, present, future. That's why they give the example of the Sarpa and Rajju, the snake and the rope. A rope is lying in the twilight hours. Someone, because of lack of proper light, sees it as a snake. Now, as long as he's seeing as the snake, for him snake is the reality. He's afraid. He tries to run away. He goes and brings a stick to just hit it, or whatever these reactions may be. Only when someone brings a torch and focuses, and then he finds, oh, it's just a rope. And then he stops what he was doing. So the snake is asatya. Why? Because it is not Trikal Avadhita. It was not existing before the ignorance dawned in. It won't exist after the ignorance has vanished. Its existence was just only as long the ignorance was there. But the rope is Satya. It was, it is, it will be. So the self on which all these various experiences are happening, that self is true. Everything else is false, because their existence is obliterated. They are not Trikal Avadhita. Their existence is not uninterrupted in past, present and future. At a certain phase of time, these experiences is contradicted by some other experiences. So they cannot be the truth. But the one who is experiencing, the experiencer, we have no doubt about that. It is the same me. I was in the deep sleep. It is I who was dreaming. It is again I who am awake. So this I, who is the witness, we can take another very nice example to understand that. In the school, suppose the headmaster is sitting in his office and all the classroom is connected with surveillance camera, so that the headmaster can be vigilant, he can supervise what's going on in all the classrooms. Now in a classroom, when the student is there, the teacher is there, the students are all disciplined, the class is going on, the headmaster, through the surveillance camera in his screen, he sees, very nice, the class is going on. That's one state. Now the teacher, after the class is over, the teacher goes out. And then there is a chaos. The moment teacher goes out, the student starts jumping, making fun, just getting up from his own seat, going to some other seat. And there's a lot of noise and disturbance, chaos. The headmaster is seeing through his camera. And then when the class is over, the teacher has left the classroom, the student has left the classroom, the empty classroom, the headmaster is seeing. So these three things, when the teacher is there, the disciplined class, the teacher is staying, that is the waking state. Why is the waking state? In our mind, the conscious mind is controlling the subconscious mind. In subconscious mind, all the lateral impressions are there. In the waking state, the conscious mind controls them, which these thoughts will get prominence in your mind, which will be projected. The conscious mind is deciding that. When I see a mountain, yes, it is a mountain. You see, I see, everyone see. In the dream state, the conscious mind has become inactive. The teacher has gone out, but the subconscious mind is still active. Even in modern psychology, they will say the hindbrain, which is the storehouse of all the impressions, that is, even in the dream state, it is active. But the conscious brain, the midbrain and the frontal lobes, that has become inactive. So what happens? The teacher has went out. Now the students are all jumping around. So to give an example, our Bhutishan used to give a very nice example. In the waking state, because of the conscious mind, I know that yes, someone keeps a lump of gold here, this is gold. And out of the window I look, there's the mountain. I know this gold and the mountain, they can never jumble up together. So they're all in their proper place. In the dream state, I can see a golden mountain. I can see what has happened. The idea of gold, he has left his seat and came and sat just near the idea of mountain. They have jumbled up. And now you're seeing a golden mountain. It's not there. But all these, as the conscious brain is now inactive, all these are just making a chaos. There's jumbling up, mixing up, interacting. So it's a world of chaos. In the dream state, it can happen. Why only in the dream state? When we are relaxing, you'll find that the way we acquire knowledge is very interesting. That when you are focused, we gather information. When we are relaxed, all the information which I have gathered, they get chance to interact with each other. That is very important. In science, in the world of scientific discoveries, all the discoveries, inventions happen in that state. When they are relaxed, then the new idea comes. You are giving the chance to that various ideas to interact. The conscious mind is sleeping for the time. So most of those ideas are worthless. They are all fancies. They are all fantasies. But suddenly, some ideas can come together to create a wonderful idea which speaks of new discovery. Most of the discoveries happen that way. So what it speaks of, this when the conscious mind is not working, all are jumbling. The headmaster is seeing that. The consciousness is watching that too. And the deep sleep state. What is that? That has been defined very nicely in Yoga Sutra. Abhava pratyaya alambana vritti nidra. Abhava pratyaya. Very nice. See, these ideas that even in deep sleep the mind is active. There are waves. This alpha, beta, gamma waves. There are waves even in the modern psychology, this neurology. They have found that in deep sleep the brain is active, but the nature of the wave has changed. The same idea is in the Yoga Sutra. Abhava, pratyaya, alambana, vritti. The vritti is still there, but the vrittis have no contents. The classroom is still visible, but the contents are not there. The teacher is not there, the students are not there. The subconscious mind has also become inactive for some time. So that nothing I am seeing, that I am seeing nothing, for that also you need someone to witness that nothingness. That nothingness doesn't exist alone. There is someone who is witnessing that nothingness. This headmaster sitting in his office is seeing that empty classroom. So these states are changing. But who is the one who is permanent behind all this experience? The headmaster, who is sitting and experiencing this. So he is the one sitting and having all these experiences. So that's the idea we find. Even Bhagavad Pada Shankaracharya, he has taken this, resorted from the Upanishads, is saying is in this verse, Yasmat evang idang sharira karana prana aham adi api asat. Just the way the entire world is asat, even in the dream state, you see that the idea of the subject, you were also a character among all the characters in the dream. That is asat. Similarly, in the waking state, that I think this body, mind, senses, everything so real. Just the way your dream body is unreal, this also is unreal when you go to the state of samadhi. In that state, you realize, what to speak of the external world, even this also is unreal. Then what alone remains? You, the witness. Tasmat tattvamasi, the one, the eternal witness sitting there without any change. You are that who is prashantam, is always tranquil, amalam, behind all impurities, beyond all impurities. That is the Brahman, that is the word Brahma came from Brih Dhatu, Brihat, beyond all limitations. That is the Brahma, Advayam, that's the only reality beyond the second, and that's the supreme reality. Nothing is beyond the Tatparam. So this last line is a repetition in all these verses. So with this, we stop our discussion today. From the next verse, we will continue again in the next class. So with this, we conclude our class today. Thank you all. Namaskar.